And so TikTok is going to have to hear me like yelling across the room. Is that accurate? That's an interesting situation. Okay. All right. Looks like we are live on TikTok. If you guys could please give me a thumbs up, letting me know that you can hear me okay. That seems pretty good. Okay. So for everybody tuning in through TikTok, I do want to invite you to switch at this time over to YouTube if you're able to. You'll have a better volume than what we have on TikTok right now. So feel free to go to YouTube at Ask Ivy. We're going to start this class in just a couple minutes. I want to welcome everyone tuning in here now through YouTube. We've got Andrea, Alicia, Hunter. We're going to give this a few minutes for people to log on. If you guys on YouTube could please give me a thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me all right. Today I am off screen because my seasonal affective disorder has kicked in here in upstate New York. There is no sunlight. There is no vitamin D. I am exhausted and I don't care. So I wanted to make sure I showed up to host this class, but I will probably be doing everything this week with this beautiful visual that we have here of my roses and the etched window and the lamps, and we will all just be happy enough with that. All right, welcome, Elaine. All right, good to see you. Again, everyone tuning in through TikTok, if you want to switch over to YouTube at this time, you may have better audio than what you have right now. Go to YouTube at Ask Ivy. I want to make a couple quick announcements while we let people tune in. So for the holiday season, I have launched different tiers of holiday packages. I believe for Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium, there are 4 different tiers where you can get these great deals, these holiday packages. Cats are playing with the ornaments off the Christmas tree. And you'll get all kinds of great things in these packages, depending on, the size that you're purchasing. It's gallery parties that you can host either at your location or here at mine, the Victorian Funeral Home. It's readings, email readings, Reiki healings with me, past life readings, intuitive ability assessments, direct spirit messages, all kinds of different things. Then for the school, for the Ivy League Psychic Academy, we also came up with, I believe it's 3 different tiers of holiday packages where you guys can get free classes, free courses, even discounts on classes, free guinea pig readings, passes to the monthly walk-in night psychic fairs, all kinds of different things. So check it out to check out all the different tiers for both Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium and Ivy League Psychic Academy. You can go to ivyriverapsychicmedium.com, and that is up in the bio. All right, then I also wanted to announce that we are running a 20% off discount if you guys want to book a party here at the new location, the Victorian Funeral Home, the headquarters of the Ivy League Psychic Academy. We have 3 amazing party rooms, and you guys can check out the space online, get 20% off booking your party right now here at this location. Psychic mediumship course for the winter session begins December 6th. If you have not already done so, get yourself on the early bird waitlist to ensure your seat. Go to psychicmediumshipcourse.com for that. And if you guys need to book a reading with me, email reading or regular reading. Also, if you don't have time to wait, you have Ivy Sealing Call Center 7 days a week. So go to ivyriverapsychicmedium.com for either of those. Looks like we have a few people tuned in. All right, very good. So if I could get everybody to give this video a thumbs up right now, Please follow and subscribe. And for those of you on YouTube, if you want to join to become a member, you can hit that join button, see the 3 different tiers of memberships. You get monthly horoscopes, direct spirit messages, weekly tips. You even get behind the scenes Ask Ivy shows, which is tomorrow, our weekly Ask Ivy show, where I take your questions. But for members at the higher 2 tiers, you get a behind the scenes once a month Ask Ivy show. So check that out. All right. Is my audio good?
Yeah.
Video good? All right. Paul, my adorable producer. How are you, Polly?
Great, thanks. I'm also loving this look here today.
Good. I'm not the only one. All right. So, Paul will be taking your questions, your comments, throughout the class. I do enjoy an interactive classroom style, so feel free to comment throughout, and he'll be taking a lot of them more toward the end of the class, but feel free to start posting early so we can get to everybody. All right, so again, for those of you who are just tuning in, I am off camera today because my seasonal affective disorder has kicked in and I just don't feel attractive. I'm exhausted and I feel like I could put my energy more wisely into doing a class for you guys this way. So enjoy the view.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's better than what it would have been. All right. So welcome everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Airwalk, and I own a school called the Ivy League Psychic Academy, where I train people internationally, online, and now we are back to in-person in everything, ranging from psychic mediumship development, tarot, astrology, numerology, Reiki, meditation, paranormal, empathic. We train children as well as adults, so we hope to see you. For a full list of classes, go to ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com. What you've caught tonight is one of my free mini classes. I've been putting out 1 to 2 free mini classes per week since the pandemic hit. It's called the Quarantine Series. And if you want to watch all of the old mini classes that I put up, and there's quite an accumulation at this point, you can go to my YouTube channel at Ask Ivy. Up in the playlist, it'll say mini classes. Check them out. Also, anywhere that you can download a podcast. I've started an Ask Ivy podcast, I think about a month ago, so you can check that out too if you like to be on the go and listen. Now, tonight's class is called Love Your Anger. It Loves You. I wanted to do this class because I see all of the different approaches that are taken against people to stifle their anger. I see all of the different ways myself, my clients, my students are uncomfortable with their anger, and all of the ways culturally we have become really defective in our approach to anger. And when Spirit showed me that this was supposed to be a topic, there was sort of these floodgates opened about what Spirit wanted me to touch on. And so, like all of my classes, I am approaching this from an intuitive intelligence standpoint, psychic, mediumistic, and empathic. But also, I like to do a little research with classes like this just to make sure I understand what the modern psychology is behind it. And so we'll be incorporating a little bit of that as well. But really what I wanted to look at was the reality behind the fact that women have been trained to either deny or reject their anger. Women of color have been mislabeled deliberately as angry in an attempt to control them, to make them submit. And men have been brainwashed into only embracing their anger. So if we look at these 3 different categories here, we can see who benefits from these stigmas and this system of brainwashing and entrapment. So we'll be looking at that. But I also want to talk about the different ways that this is happening. And I want to talk about what we can do to embrace our anger, understand the authenticity behind it going forward. Okay, so one of the interesting things that I realized here in looking at anger and sort of assertive outbursts, let's say, it's not even anger so much of the time. I've learned that it's gotten a really terrible rap in order to control the people who are expressing it and to make sure they stay in their submissive position to feed our societal standards. Now, while I was aware of that, I'm aware of it every day. I'm a Hispanic female. I haven't ever really dissected it to the point that I did in observing what Spirit wanted me to talk about over the last couple days researching this. So let's look at how and why women are trained to deny or reject their anger. First of all, we have to look at the systems, okay, that feed it. Capitalism, the patriarchy, the church, and white supremacy. So if a woman embraces her anger, she is going to then be fighting against the systems of the patriarchy and capitalism that use her and abuse her every day of her life. Those systems are built on women's backs. And if they aren't face down in the mud, those systems will collapse. So anytime a woman expresses her anger, she's considered crazy, she's considered a bitch, she's considered to be too much, she's causing problems. And she's also running the risk of being labeled as, anti-feminine, too masculine, which men think is the ultimate threat, right? Because if men think that all we want is to be attractive to them. So if they can make a woman think she should suppress her anger because then she's not attractive to him, the thinking is that she will do so. Now, in the past, women have most certainly done this. And still today, we see a lot of women who have been brainwashed into the system and aren't waking up to the problem, still feeding that system. However, the reality is that men have lost that upper hand, especially in regards to romantic partnerships. There was a time when men provided all of the money, all of the support that a woman would need. Women couldn't even legally have bank accounts, own property. Some even until like the 1970s. Okay, so a lot of us tuning in tonight were born in the 1970s, or we were already here in the 1970s. So you have to wrap your head around the reality that men had access to all this money and all this power, and that women had to submit and deny their anger in order to be in harmony and get their basic needs met. Well, that's no longer an issue. Women have their own money, they have their own power, and so men are expected to earn the company of women these days. They are expected, especially here in America, to bring something to the table. And because of their unwillingness to evolve, because of their entitled attitudes, because they think that women owe them their good company, their kindness, and their support, we're finding that 82% of women are not interested in long-term relationships or marriage. So we have quite the discrepancy growing here, and women are becoming more comfortable expressing their anger because what they realize now is that men have been taking advantage, that men have been trained up also by mothers who feed this toxic narcissistic system of abuse and manipulation, and women aren't going to put up with it anymore. So the idea of the angry feminist, that unladylike woman is becoming extraordinarily mainstream, I would say, in the last few years. And this is really at the root of a lot of it, is that women know that they no longer have to put up with that and they won't be taken advantage of. Now, when we look here at women of color, again, I said being mislabeled as angry in an attempt to make them more submissive. We're talking about this white supremacy. Again, patriarchy and capitalism, it's all connected, of course, but we're talking about this desire to keep women of color in check, in line, and unwilling to express what it is that they deserve, need, and are going to fight for. This way, they can't take their rights back. And the white supremacy and patriarchy within the capitalistic society can keep that upper hand. It is also reached a point in our society, especially here in America, where women of color are no longer willing to do that. And they are gaining their own access to power, to money, to first generational wealth. And they are realizing that they've done this all on their own. And so as women of color are grouping together more and more, they're getting louder and they are taking that power back. The fear element is increasing rapidly among the white supremacists, the patriarchy, the church, the government. And so there are attempts to keep them down. But at this point, I see it just as like a fire that has already been ignited. It will be taking over everything. So these are other reasons to create that angry female image, especially among women of color, just to keep them down and make them seem dangerous, threatening, or again, unattractive. Right, then let's look at men, because men are victims to this system too. You can't really be a feminist without understanding that men are corrupted in this system and need to heal as well. So men have been trained, whether it's to feed the patriarchy, to support capitalism, to support the military. Men have been trained to abandon and deny all of their emotions and to only embrace anger. So men don't have a productive, assertive approach to anger. They are often just volatile. It's just rage. It is chaotic and it's aimless. This is where abusers come into play. This is where toxic masculinity, which is rampant, is really becoming prevalent. And we see that men are becoming more and more childlike, like a child throwing a temper tantrum. This is what they're left with. And it's imperative that men evolve and start to embrace those other emotions that women have gotten quite good at examining so that they can connect their feelings to their thoughts, to their reactions. And a lot of this has been done to boys from the time they're born. And we still see this continuing, sadly today. So what a lot of men don't realize is that anger being the only emotion they were ever allowed to express becomes all they know to communicate with. And when they find themselves in especially intimate partnerships, with a lover, they find that they can't express anything else. They may not even know what they're feeling or thinking at all. It all comes down to an angry outburst. And we need to understand that there are other languages going on here within us. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. I also think that men need to reach a point where they acknowledge that anger is an emotion. They want to act like they're not emotional at all. Women are emotional. Women are emotionally intelligent. Men are just emotional at this point. Anger is an emotion, but that's the bottom line. So we need to work through this and understand that if we are going to use and abuse our volatile anger, as many men do, to keep up the patriarchy, that it's going to work against them. It's like voting against your own interests every single day. All right, so what are men told? Well, men are told that it's emasculating, basically, that they are becoming women if they, which is the lowest of the low, right? If they observe any of their other emotions or risk embracing those and get themselves help in therapy, for example, that they would be essentially turning toward their feminine side, and that is a sign of weakness. All right, so I want to take a look at what's really going on behind so much anger and what it might really be telling you. One of the interesting things I found was that anger is a secondary emotion. So originally what we're feeling is sadness or fear. We're feeling vulnerable or we're feeling uncomfortable. And when we can't stay in that feeling anymore, it turns into anger. Anger is meant to give us the energy that is required to create change, to alter the situation or cope with the problem in a productive way. And so we have to look at it that way every time we feel angry and ask, what is it that's underlying the anger, and what are we supposed to be doing to create the outcome that we really authentically want and need, not just running from it, hiding from it, or feeding it in a toxic way. All right, so I want to talk about what I have found mostly is happening, whether it be with myself, with my clients, with my students, when people are suffering from a lot of anger issues. And I look at it from an intuitive or healing standpoint. So your anger may really be telling you, most common one that I see is that the person is overwhelmed, overworked. Okay, this is actually called overwhelmed anger in psychology. So a lot of people have an angry disposition about them, but it's really just burnout. It's stress. You're not giving yourself enough time away from your to-do list. And you may not be delegating well enough. You may have workaholism. You may be putting a lot of this on yourself, and you need to set better boundaries with it. Okay, so the second thing that I see most commonly with people in their anger is that they need more personal space. Now, especially women who have been taught to give, family, community, be available, be the giver, be the caretaker. Talk about burnout. Okay, you need personal space, especially if you're an introvert. Let's not forget that introverted people gain their energy by being alone, by being with their thoughts, being in their heads, being introspective. They lose energy every time they're around other people, especially extroverts, but really anybody in any social situation, including your family, including with your kids, including with your spouse. So we're not taking enough personal space. We're not setting boundaries with others as much as we need to. And that leads to a lot of anger and aggression, emotional and mental meltdowns. And I would even go so far as to say volatile anger, which can seem aimless and chaotic and just really super aggressive beyond what's necessary. So take that personal space. I will also say for all of you out there that are married, if you find that you have a lot of this uncontrollable anger, maybe you need to sleep alone. Maybe you need your own bed, your own bedroom. That is your sacred time, your sacred space to recoup the energy that you've lost and to heal. And when you've got someone else in the bed or kids in the bed and dogs on the bed, you're just being drained continuously throughout the night. So create that personal space however you have to. The third most common area I see anger unchecked in is with someone who's being abused. Now, this can happen if your parents are abusive, narcissistic, sociopathic, if you're in a relationship with someone who is gaslighting you, who is deliberately sabotaging your well-being. And maybe you can pinpoint it, maybe you can't. But a lot of people are feeling that they're going crazy or that they're getting really aggressive or ugly and that they can't even identify who they are anymore. I'm just not myself. I'm just so angry all the time. I'm just not myself. My light has gone out because you're around someone who is deliberately abusing you on a regular basis. Okay, which is essentially what the hierarchies in society are doing to all of us, which is why we have anger problems in general. But particularly bad when it's a parent, it's a family member, it's a narcissistic sibling, and definitely when it's a lover who's trying to control all aspects of your life. Now, category number 4, when you're being taken advantage of. And I would say that I see this mostly with women in relationships with, I don't even want to say narcissistic men necessarily. It's just kind of become very mainstream that it's women trying to get into these heterosexual romantic relationships with men. And they feel that when the man says he's going to put effort into the relationship, it's just lip service. It doesn't actually go anywhere. These men don't know how to take care of themselves. They're not growing. They're not going to therapy. They're not dealing with their personal issues. They don't want to contribute to the relationship in the most fundamental ways because they feel entitled and that a woman owes them their company and support. Those are previous generations that have trained them to believe that. And so I see a lot of really angry women who don't understand that their anger is coming from this level of manipulation and essentially mental and emotional abuse because they're being taken advantage of by these men who do not plan in any way, shape, or form to put effort into the relationship which they have committed to being in. We have another free mini class coming up here soon called Why Strong Women Attract Narcissists and Weak Men. That's going to be January 4th. Check it out, people, at 8:30. All right, let's look at category number 5. A lot of people are angry because their rights are being violated. They may not even understand the depth to which they are physically, emotionally, mentally reacting in this, natural, almost animalistic way to the violation against them. And that's how the system is set up. It's to brainwash you not to notice it, not to pay attention to it, never to verbally acknowledge it. So we have to look, whether it be racial injustice, it be redlining and housing injustice, it be, the government trying to keep people of color away from voting booths, and it be Karens who go out and, attack minorities all the time. There are a million different instances where your rights are being violated, and you've probably grown so accustomed to tolerating it that you just feel that you're very maybe angry, or you're feeling exhausted, or you're feeling upset, and you can't really place why. So do an assessment on what is happening around you. Okay, and that one sort of fits in with number 6, which is you're being robbed. You are essentially being robbed, whether it be of your rights, it be of your own finances by the government, it be in a toxic relationship with a lover and they're manipulating the bank accounts, if it's about something that was yours, that was given over to somebody else. We see this even with children. So even a 3-year-old will fight with a sibling and say, Mom, he got a bigger piece of dessert. Like, this isn't right. A dog will fight for a bone that they know is their own. We all will feel at some point that something is being taken from us, but because of the systemic brainwashing, we may not even be able to identify where that's happening anymore. Okay, so pay attention to the bigger picture. So ultimately, what is the goal here? The goal should be for all of us to identify the underlying issue and then come up with a game plan on how we're going to approach it. Okay, so I think of this as being more like assertive anger, productive assertion, okay, or organized assertion versus volatile anger, which is a lot of what we see everywhere today. It is aimless rage and chaos going absolutely nowhere. And it represents all of that toxicity that we're all told we should be so afraid of. So what I would like for everybody to take away from this today is that anger is a gift that God gave you. When you came to earth, you were given strong intuition, ancestors, guides, and angels to help work with you. And if your anger is coming to the surface, it's telling you that something's wrong and it needs to be fixed, or you need to leave a situation, that boundaries need to be set. There will be some action that has to be taken. You can't sit in that for very long. And it's supposed to help you, not scare you. It's supposed to be embraced, not hidden from. And if you don't know what to do with it at the time, call in your guides, your ancestors, your angels, and ask, what is happening and what is the best approach for me to deal with this? That's how you deal with anger, from a place of love instead of fear. That's how you make it productive instead of volatile. And we can all do it. It's good. It is not necessarily something that you intend to use for harm, even though you're surrounded by people who are, for their own power, using it that way. All right. So there are two different categories of us for sure. All right. Paul, do we have any questions or comments coming in here on any of this?
Yeah, we had a comment from Chicken Mama.
Okay. So Chicken Mama says, just like a dog that has rocks thrown at them all the time, eventually the dog bites. Yeah, definitely. And it's the same idea as we were talking about with the bone. A dog knows, a child knows when something has been taken from them. And there is a sort of animalistic reaction. And we have to understand that that's something worth honoring. That's all about justice. Okay, we have another one. I like too how Chicken Mama said, eventually the dog's going to bite. And this is where we have to, in our society, especially here in America, we have to redefine what exactly is violence and dangerous and, rioting. Oh no, what could it be? Yeah, it's people taking their power back. That's exactly what it is. Okay, what do we have next? TikTok? All right, someone on TikTok, Golden Hour, says, society puts us in emotional straitjackets. Wow, that'd be a great title for this. Yeah. So there it is. Society absolutely tries to trap us into submission in a million different ways, and they've recruited members of this society that are in power positions, again, like white men, white women, to hold those standards. And so if you do fall into one of these categories, you need to check yourself extra hard, as uncomfortable as that is, to see if a lot of the belief systems that you have or the things you support are actually holding others down. And of course, those same systems work against you as well, because it's not a harmonious system. So yeah, we have great responsibility today, all of us of all colors and genders, to look at how society has put us in, thank you, those straitjackets. Okay, we are at time. I do want to invite you guys to check out next week's class. It is starting over. When life does not go as planned. So we'll be discussing the disappointments in life, what happens if you had to leave a relationship, or, heaven forbid, your family planning didn't work out. This is about job change, job loss, all kinds of different things. So many of us went through this with the pandemic and are literally starting over from scratch. So I think this is a good time. So starting over when life does not go as planned, what to do about it. That'll be next Tuesday back here at 8:30. And tomorrow I will see you guys 9 o'clock on TikTok, 9:30 here on YouTube for my weekly Ask Ivy show, where I take your personal questions and I deliver out messages from Spirit. Thank you, Paul. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a great night.